My uncle tried to erase me from my grandfather's will, then walked into a room where I was the one running the meeting. The first time I saw my uncle in 18 years, he was contesting my grandfather's will in a conference room I'd booked. He sat across from me with his attorney, smiling like he'd already won. Then the mediator walked in, looked directly at me, and said, "Dr. Osei, whenever you're ready." My uncle's smile stopped moving. He didn't come back because he missed anyone. He came back because someone told him about the property. I was 17 when Raymond had me removed from my grandfather's house. Not asked, removed. My grandfather had raised me since 11, and for 6 years that house was the only stable thing I had. Then Raymond decided I was a liability, a non-blood dependent cluttering an inheritance he'd already claimed in his head. He told my grandfather I'd been stealing. I hadn't. But Raymond was loud and my grandfather was 74 and starting to forget things at the edges. I left with a duffel bag and a bus pass. My grandfather's neighbor let me sleep on her couch for 3 weeks. She was sharp-tongued and had zero patience for self-pity. She fed me and told me every night, "Your mind is the one thing Raymond cannot touch. Use it." So I did. Scholarship, night work, medical records, billing systems, policy. I was hungry for structure in the way only people who've lost everything understand. Graduate school, then again, clinical research, health administration, 12 years of stacking credentials Raymond didn't have a key to. I became director of research operations at a regional hospital network. My name sat on federal grant approvals. I reviewed paperwork that made attorneys go quiet. My grandfather declined after I left. Raymond controlled access. When he passed, I found out through a text, a cousin, 3 days after the burial. That's when it got worse. Raymond had filed for estate control before my grandfather was in the ground. The land had tripled in value and a development company was circling. He needed the estate cleared. He needed me gone. Again. His attorney sent a letter calling me an estranged non-relative with no legal standing. Precise. Dismissive. Like I was a footnote. I hired counsel. We requested mediation. Raymond walked in like he was collecting something owed. He had folders, printouts, the full performance of a wronged man. He looked at me the same way he had at 17, like I was smaller than the room. His attorney leaned forward. "Mr. Raymond's position is that your grandfather's later directives don't reflect his documented wishes." My grandfather updated his estate documents 4 times, I said. Each update was witnessed, notarized, and accompanied by a physician's cognitive assessment. The final version was completed 22 months before his death. His scores were normal range. I have all 4. The attorney stopped. "He left the property to a family trust," I continued. "I'm the trustee." Raymond appears in none of the 4 versions. Raymond's face didn't drain. It curdled. "You manipulated a sick old man," he said, low and ugly. "You were gone 18 years and still got your hands in his pockets." The heat climbed my throat and settled behind my eyes. I kept my voice flat. "You told him I was a thief," I said. "You had me removed at 17 with a bag and a bus card. Don't talk to me about manipulation." Silence. His attorney touched his arm. Raymond shook it off. Mediation ended in 40 minutes. His claim had no legal foundation. The trust held. His development deal collapsed without estate access. Outside, he caught me on the sidewalk. "We were family," he said. Quiet. Like it meant something. I looked at him. "You decided we weren't," I said. "I just believed you." My grandfather left a letter with the trust documents. 2 paragraphs. He said he'd known what Raymond had done. Said the property was the only way he knew to say what he'd failed to say in person. I sat in my car and read it 4 times. Then I called the architect I'd already retained. "The property will become a residential facility for youth aging out of foster care. Kids who leave with a bag and a bus card and nobody waiting." Raymond thought the land was the inheritance. He was wrong. The land was just the instruction. So tell me, if you'd spent 18 years building in silence, would you have let him walk away thinking he still had power, or would you have made sure he understood exactly what he'd lost?